My billionaire husband bruised my pregnant face last night at his company gala. This morning, I'm standing in our glass kitchen preparing eggs Benedict while our unborn daughter kicks against my ribs, and Kevin has no idea that breakfast is about to cost him everything he values more than my life: his empire, his image, and his illusion of control. Before we continue with the story, be sure to subscribe to the channel and give the video a like. Oh, and drop a comment below letting us know where you're watching from. We love seeing that. My name is Kathy Johnson. I'm 32 years old, 7 months pregnant, and this morning I'm standing barefoot on heated Italian marble in a kitchen that overlooks all of Silicon Valley. There's a bruise blooming across my left cheekbone like some sick algorithmic pattern, purple at the edges, deepening to black at the center. I've been icing it on and off since 4 a.m., but the swelling won't go down. It doesn't matter. Kevin will see it when he comes downstairs, and he'll do what he always does: recalibrate, adjust his approach, offer some clinical observation about managing stress during high-stakes quarters. He'll make it sound like a system malfunction, not domestic violence. That's how billionaires talk about the unspeakable. They turn it into data. But this morning is different. This morning, the dining table is set with our wedding china, the kind we received as gifts 5 years ago and never used because it was too sentimental for daily optimization. There are gardenias from the rooftop garden arranged in a crystal vase, the same flowers I carried on our wedding day when I still believed love was the most valuable asset. The coffee is brewing in the $4,000 machine Kevin bought after I suggested we didn't need it. The smell fills the house: butter, coffee, and something else. Resolve. The smell of a woman who finally hacked the system. The bruise looked worse in daylight. Soft morning light spilled through the glass walls, catching the swollen ridge on my cheek and turning it from dark purple to a raw, angry plum. My skin tugged when I moved my jaw. Every time I blinked, the skin around my eye throbbed in a slow, mean pulse. The ice pack had melted hours ago. My fingers smelled faintly of rubbing alcohol and La Mer cream. Luxury on top of damage. The Miele oven hummed behind me, steady and low. Hollandaise sat in a silver bowl over a small pan, the sauce like liquid gold as I whisked it with my good hand. My other hand rested on my belly, feeling the slow, lazy roll of our daughter waking up. Each movement pushed against my bruised ribs, a dull reminder that Kevin never missed a target. The kitchen was silent, except for the soft whir of the Sub-Zero fridge and the tap of my whisk. Outside, the sun climbed over the Santa Cruz Mountains, washing the valley in pale gold. All that glass, all that sky, and somehow the house still felt airless. I plated the eggs Benedict like I was styling a magazine shoot. Wolferman's English muffins toasted to the exact shade of light brown Kevin preferred. Poached eggs, still trembling, cut with the ring mold he bought from Williams-Sonoma after a Michelin chef mentioned it on a podcast. Thin ribbons of prosciutto instead of ham, because bacon was off-brand for a wellness-focused CEO. Blood orange juice sat in a Riedel glass, its color almost the same as the dried line at the corner of my mouth. My heart beat hard but steady. No shaking, no tears. Just this strange, cold clarity moving through my veins. In 20 minutes, Kevin would walk into this kitchen expecting coffee, compliance, and silence. He was getting the coffee. The other two were off the menu. I heard his footsteps first. The soft pad of his Allbirds on the stairs, then the harder click against the marble. He always moved like that. Quiet, measured, like a predator who'd already calculated every angle. Kevin walked into the kitchen wearing his usual morning uniform. Gray Lululemon joggers, a black Patagonia quarter zip, Apple Watch glowing on his wrist. His hair was still damp from the shower. He smelled like eucalyptus body wash and that Tom Ford cologne he ordered by the case. He didn't look at my face, not once. He walked straight to the coffee station, poured himself a cup from the carafe, and took a sip. His jaw tightened. He set the cup down with a soft clink. "It's cold," he said. My pulse kicked hard in my throat, but I kept my voice even. "I brewed it 20 minutes ago." "Then you brewed it too early." He turned finally, his eyes sweeping over me like I was a malfunctioning appliance. His gaze landed on the bruise for half a second, then slid away. "You know I prefer it at 180 degrees. This is barely 160. I felt my daughter kick, a sharp jab under my ribs. My hand moved instinctively to the spot. Kevin's expression didn't change. "Are you going to fix it, or do I need to do it myself?" There it was, the test, the little power move, designed to see if last night had reset me to factory settings. If I'd learned my lesson, if I was back to being the compliant wife who apologized for existing. I picked up the carafe, walked to the sink, poured the entire pot down the drain. Then I turned to face him, my hands still resting on my belly, the bruise on full display. "I'll make a fresh pot." I said. Why don't you sit down and have some breakfast? His eyes narrowed. Just slightly. Good. The ultrasound room had been cold. That's what I remembered most. The air conditioning set too high, the paper gown too thin, and the gel on my stomach so cold it made me flinch. Kevin sat in the corner chair, his phone glowing in his hand. He was reading emails. I could see the reflection of his screen in the dark monitor above me. Dr. Patel moved the wand across my belly, her eyes fixed on the grainy black and white image. Then she smiled. There's the heartbeat. The sound filled the room, fast and fluttery, like a hummingbird's wings. I felt something crack open in my chest. Relief, joy, terror, all of it at once. Strong and healthy, Dr. Patel said. About 8 weeks along, I looked at Kevin. He'd finally put the phone down. He was staring at the screen, his face blank. Can you tell the gender yet? He asked. Too early, Dr. Patel said. We'll know more at 20 weeks. Kevin nodded. His jaw was tight. And you can monitor everything? Heart rate, development, all the metrics. Of course, we'll track growth, weight, organ development. What about controlling variables? His voice was sharp now. Diet, exercise, stress levels. What's the optimal protocol? Dr. Patel blinked. We provide recommendations, but every pregnancy is different. There's no one-size-fits-all. That doesn't make sense. Kevin stood, moving closer to the monitor. If you have data on outcomes, you can create a predictive model. Optimize inputs to maximize health. My stomach went cold. Dr. Patel smiled politely. Biology isn't software, Mr. Park. Babies grow at their own pace. Kevin's hand curled into a fist at his side. That night, he didn't touch me. He sat in his office until 3 a.m., and when I woke up thirsty and passed his door, I heard him on a call. I need full control, he was saying. That's non-negotiable. The house started watching me the week after that first ultrasound. It was small at first. Kevin handed me a new iPhone, still sealed in its white box, and a black Apple Watch. For you and the baby, he said. Real-time health data, peace of mind. The watch felt light on my wrist, the band soft against my skin. It buzzed the first night at 11:03 p.m. Kathy, the calm female voice of our home system said from the ceiling speaker, your heart rate is elevated. Consider a breathing exercise. I froze in bed. The room was dark, except for the blue glow from the Nest thermostat on the wall. My pulse jumped higher. My throat felt tight, like someone had slipped a hand around it. Kevin? I called. He answered from his office, voice muffled. System flagged your vitals. You should be sleeping. I started noticing the cameras next. Little black eyes in the corners of every room. Arlo in the nursery. Ring at the doors. Google Nest cams in the hallways. Even a tiny camera over the Peloton in the gym. Security, he said, when I asked. You're carrying my air. I need full visibility. Full visibility meant no blind spots. If I walked onto the balcony, my phone buzzed. UV index high today, Kathy. Limit sun exposure. If I opened the fridge after 9 p.m., the kitchen speaker spoke up. Late-night snacking can affect glucose levels. My stomach nodded every time the system said my name. I started moving slower, softer, as if volume alone might trigger an alert. One afternoon, I turned my phone to airplane mode before driving to Target. The silence felt like a miracle. When I got back, Kevin was waiting in the kitchen, Apple Watch flashing on his wrist. You were offline for 42 minutes, he said. Why? The gala smelled like money and perfume. I stood under a crystal chandelier at the Fairmont, one hand on my belly, the other wrapped around a flute of sparkling water I kept pretending was champagne. My face hurt when I smiled, the muscles already tired from 2 hours of small talk. Kevin's hand sat on the small of my back like a brand. Kathy, smile, he murmured through his teeth as another camera flashed. You look tired. I lifted my chin. The photographer from Forbes snapped 3 rapid shots. The room buzzed with venture capital guys in Tom Ford suits and women in sequined gowns, all laughing a little too loud. A giant LED screen behind us looped footage of Kevin talking about ethical AI and protecting vulnerable communities. Every time our daughter kicked, my dress, black Valentino hand-altered to fit the bump, felt tighter across my ribs. My feet throbbed in Jimmy Choo heels. I could taste the dry bite of the sparkling water, metal and citrus on my tongue. Excuse me, I said quietly. I need to sit for a minute. Kevin's fingers dug into my back. You'll sit when we're done, he said, smile fixed for the room. We need the board photo. We lasted another 30 minutes. Another speech. Another toast. The hit came later. Backstage in the small dressing room off the ballroom, the air smelled like hairspray and wilting roses. I'd just lowered myself onto a padded bench when Kevin shut the door, soft but final. The music outside turned muffled, like it was underwater. "What was that out there?" he asked. My throat went dry. "What?" "You checked your watch during the pledge segment. On camera." His voice stayed low, flat, more dangerous than a shout. "Do you have any idea how that looks?" "I was timing my meds," I said. "The prenatal." His hand moved faster than my brain. A sharp crack. White light behind my eyes. My head snapped to the side, cheek slamming into the mirror frame. For a second, there was no sound, just a high ringing in my ears and the copper taste of blood. My stomach clenched so hard I thought I might throw up. "Kevin," I gasped, hand flying to my face, then to my belly. "Stop." He stepped back, chest rising and falling. His reflection in the mirror looked calm. Too calm. "Get yourself cleaned up," he said. "We leave in 5, and fix your face." Then he opened the door, smile already back in place, and walked out to shake more hands. I didn't sleep after the gala. I sat in the dark nursery, the one painted pale yellow with a white crib still wrapped in plastic, and felt the side of my face throb in time with my pulse. Kevin thought I'd forgotten who I was before him. He thought 5 years of marriage had erased the woman who'd broken the Silicon Valley embezzlement story for the Chronicle, the one who'd traced shell companies through encrypted email chains and offshore bank accounts. He was wrong. At 3 a.m., I pulled out my old MacBook from the back of my closet, the one I'd kept even after Kevin bought me a new one synced to his iCloud. My hands shook as I powered it on, the startup chime too loud in the silent house. Kevin's home server ran on a custom Synology system, military-grade encryption he'd bragged once. Unhackable, but every system had a back door if you knew where to look. I opened Terminal, fingers moving across the keys like muscle memory waking up. The green text scrolled down the black screen, lines of code I hadn't written in years but still understood. My heart hammered so hard I could feel it in my teeth. The baby kicked. I pressed my hand to the spot, whispered, "Almost done." It took 40 minutes to crack his admin password. He'd used his Tesla's VIN number, arrogant and lazy. The file directory opened like a door swinging wide. There, Nest Cam footage, organized by room and date. I found last night's gala. The dressing room, 11:47 p.m. I watched myself on that tiny screen, saw my head snap sideways, saw Kevin's hand drop back to his side like nothing had happened. My stomach turned over. I copied the file to an encrypted USB drive. Then the nursery cam footage. The kitchen, every room where his voice had gone cold, and his hands had followed. When I was done, I deleted my search history and shut the laptop. Kevin would never know I'd been there. Not until it was too late. Kevin sat down at the head of the table, his fresh coffee steaming in front of him. He cut into the eggs Benedict with surgical precision, yolk bleeding gold across the white plate. He chewed slowly, eyes on his phone propped against the salt shaker. I stayed standing by the counter, my hands wrapped around my own mug. The coffee tasted bitter. My heart beat steady and cold. "Sit," Kevin said without looking up. I sat. He ate 3 more bites, then wiped his mouth with the linen napkin and reached into the leather messenger bag hanging on his chair. He pulled out a manila folder, set it on the table between us like a contract at a board meeting. "We need to finalize this today," he said. I looked at the folder, but didn't touch it. "Medical power of attorney," Kevin continued, flipping it open. Pages of dense legal text, highlighted in yellow. "My lawyer drew it up last week. It gives me full decision-making authority during delivery and postpartum. Standard risk management." My throat felt tight. "Risk management. You're 7 months along. If something goes wrong, someone needs to make the call." He slid a Montblanc pen across the table. "It's for your protection. And the baby's." I stared at the pen. Black resin, gold trim, the same one he'd used to sign our prenup. "What kind of calls?" I asked quietly. "Medical interventions, C-section, anesthesia. If you're incapacitated, I handle it." His voice stayed flat. "Reasonable. It's logical, Kathy. I'm the one who stays calm under pressure." My daughter kicked hard against my ribs, like she was trying to fight her way out. Kevin tapped the signature line with his finger. "Sign it." I picked up the pen. It felt heavier than it should. Then I heard the soft click of the front door opening. Footsteps in the hallway. Multiple footsteps. Kevin's head snapped up. "Who?" The dining room door swung open. The man who walked in wore a black mask and a white dress shirt, sleeves rolled to the elbow like any hotel server. He carried a silver tray with a glass carafe of blood orange juice and 2 Riedel glasses. My stomach tightened, but I kept my face still. "We didn't order," Kevin started. "I scheduled a special service," I said, eyes on the tray. Thought we should celebrate. The waiter set the tray down, right on top of the folder. His hands were steady. Too steady for someone supposedly nervous in a billionaire's kitchen. Poor, Kevin said, dismissive, already annoyed. The man reached up, slipped his mask down. Kevin's brows pulled together. "Who are you?" he demanded. "Daniel Price," the man said. "Licensed private investigator, California and New York." He nodded toward me. "Retained by Mrs. Kathy Johnson." Hearing my name with Mrs. in front of it made my skin prickle. Not for much longer. Kevin pushed back his chair, scraping marble. "Get out of my house." Behind him, the smart lock on the kitchen door clicked. Another lock followed in the hallway. A low mechanical whir ran through the walls as the system engaged. The house was sealing. "Front entry, interior doors, and garage access are now secured," the home system said calmly. "Manual override disabled." Kevin spun toward me. "What did you do?" My heart thudded hard, but the fear felt far away, like it belonged to someone else. "I changed the admin credentials last night," I said. "You really should stop using VIN numbers as passwords." Daniel set a small black device on the table. A red light blinked. The dining room Nest Cam's tiny LED went dark. "External stream is live," he said. "Board members, legal counsel, and SFPD domestic violence unit are watching." Color drained from Kevin's face. For the first time since I'd known him, he looked genuinely lost. "This is illegal," he said, voice sharp. "You can't record me without consent." "You already did," I said softly. "Every time you hit record in this house." I slid the unsigned medical power of attorney back toward him, the Mont Blanc pen on top. "Breakfast is served," I said. Kevin's voice followed me down the hallway, sharp and frantic, bouncing off the glass. "Kathy, sit down. We can fix this. Think about the baby." My legs felt shaky, but they kept moving. Past the framed Forbes covers, past the Peloton, past the Nest Cam that now showed a blank, frozen image instead of my face. My lawyer walked on my left, Daniel on my right. Their presence felt like guardrails. The house tried one last trick. The lights flickered, then brightened. The system's calm female voice floated from the ceiling. "Kathy, your heart rate is elevated. Initiating relaxation protocol." I laughed. It came out rough. "Not today." At the front door, I paused. The glass panel rose from floor to ceiling. The valley spread out below like a glossy ad. For years, this view had been sold to me as proof I'd made it. All I could think now was how high the drop looked. Behind us, Kevin's shouting turned muffled as two officers escorted him back toward the dining room. My lawyer opened the door. Cool morning air rushed in, smelling like wet asphalt and eucalyptus instead of Tom Ford and money. I stepped outside, 1 foot over the threshold. Then the other. The marble gave way to concrete, then to the soft leather seat of the black Tesla parked at the curb. Not his. Mine now, in the eyes of the court papers sitting in my tote bag. As the car pulled away, the house shrank in the rearview mirror, just another glass box on a hill. My shoulders dropped for the first time in months. The muscles along my neck ached like they were waking up. Then I felt it. A sharp, firm kick low in my belly. Not the flutter from before. Strong, certain. My hand flew to the spot, fingers pressing into the fabric of my navy dress. My throat burned, but the tears that finally came didn't feel weak. "Yeah," I whispered to the little life inside me. "We're done in there." The glass mansion disappeared around the curve of the hill. For the first time, the bruise on my face felt less like a mark and more like a timestamp. The moment we left the cage. Thank you very much for watching. Comment below what you thought and what was the best or worst part. Don't forget to subscribe. Until next time.